Thanks, Bruce. We are working with the Sedona Public Library, an official partner with the Veterans History Project, in conjunction with the Library of Congress. Terrie served in Vietnam during November and December of 1968. She was a USO entertainer, and she served in various locations in Vietnam, which I'll let Terrie tell us about. Okay, Terrie.
Okay, hi, I'm Terrie Frankel, and I am 61 years old. I was born in 1949 in Chicago, Illinois, and one of the highlights of my life was being in Vietnam with the USO when I was 18 with my identical sister, Jennie Frankel, who passed away a couple of years ago, and this is her picture. And she would have loved to have been here because this was beyond doubt the most exciting thing that ever happened to us performing in Vietnam.
Terrie, how did you happen to get involved with the USO and go to Vietnam?
Well, when we were living in Chicago, our father read an article in the newspaper that a man by the name of Sig Sakowicz, a radio and television personality, Polish, in Chicago, was looking for an accordionist to take to Vietnam. The reason he wanted an accordionist is because he wanted someone who could provide music but didn't need electricity, so that he could travel to the boonies out in nowhere where they had helicopter pads and makeshift stages, and perform for the GIs who normally would not get USO shows like Bob Hope. So my father wrote to Sig Sakowicz and he said, I have two accordionists. We had been playing accordions from the age of 6. And Sig Sakowicz said, great. So he let us join his troupe. The troupe consisted of Sarah Sue. She was a dancer in the Gaslight Club in Chicago. And Tony Diamond, he was a comedian. So that was our troupe. And we also performed with Joey Bishop when we were there.
Okay. And what was that like? Had you any idea of what you were getting into, really?
No, we had no idea it would be such an exciting, fascinating, profoundly sad, and interesting time until the day Jennie died, and that was the highlight of our lives, and we've led some pretty exciting lives since then. But just performing in Vietnam with the USO, with the Hollywood Overseas Committee, was a treasured memory, and we went to a lot of different places. It was terrific.
Tell me about one of the more memorable and maybe challenging performances that you had.
Oh, let's see. Well, we stayed at the Saigon Hilton, and we were there with Joey Bishop and Martha Ray, and we would go out every day, and we'd hit many places, and they would take us out on Chinook Air helicopters and C-130 airplanes and Jeeps, and we would be out in the middle of nowhere, really, where the GIs would be waiting for hours for us to arrive. And sometimes we would actually spend the night. One time we spent the night in a camp, and they had to roust us in the middle of the night, and they rarely ever flew at night. And we had to get out, and they flew us out of there because they had heard that there were some BC who could possibly be in the area. So that was pretty exciting.
Were you frightened?
No, we weren't frightened because we were so well protected. We had a GS-15 rating, so we had our own personal escort officer, Frank Grappone, and we had people surrounding us all the time, and they were very, very protective of us. And they treated us like we were Marilyn Monroe. Everywhere we went, they were so excited to see us and happy and protecting us, and we felt very, very secure.
Well, that's great. Do you remember the places that you went to?
Yes, we went to a lot of places: Phu Bai, Phu Loi, Dalat, Pleiku, Da Nang, Cam Bay, Hue, and other places I probably couldn't I don't remember. But every place we went, we performed for the Marines, our Army, the Navy, the Air Force. We performed for all of them, and it was wonderful. And they were all happy to see us and thrilled that we were there.
I'm sure they were. Were you out every day of the week?
Oh yeah, every
Pretty
day.
much.
Every day we were there. We were performing.
Wow.
We did some shows with Joey Bishop, and each place that we went to, they would give us these
Flashes.
Yes, flashes. Yes, and so I have them here, and we performed with Joey Bishop.
You've got a picture there of,
I do.
Of the two of you performing with some
Here it is.
GIs.
Okay. Okay. This is, yes, these are great pictures. I don't know if you'll be able to get them, but here they are. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is us performing on a stage. I played guitar as well, and also I played clarinet. And here's another one. Boy, I wish I could meet all these guys. We've got these great pictures of these men. I don't know where they are, what happened to them. It would be great just to meet them. Here we are with our accordions.
Mm-hmm.
And they were wonderful. Here's a little makeshift stage. That's Sarah Sue, the girl from the Gaslight Club. Oh, they loved her. She had this little, skimpy costume, and used to bring them up on the stage and sing with them. It was a lot of fun. And see, this is the USO shows. That's us. I believe we were on a barge there, off somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And this one is good too.
Oh yes.
You look very 60-ish.
We do.
In the 60s.
Well, the first thing that happened when we arrived in Vietnam is they outfitted us with all of the fatigues and the boots, and we had our own set of clothing, which I wish I could find now, but I don't know, they disappeared. I still have one of the accordions, but these are the cute little Vietnamese children. Everybody was very friendly to us.
Can you put your hand down a little bit on the other hand? Yeah, so we can actually see you better.
And
Cute girls.
Well, we were there. Thank you, thank you. And then this is Joey Bishop and the accordions. And this is our troupe.
Aha.
That's me with the clarinet, and I remember we played the one "The Saints Go Marching In," and that's Tony Diamond. He has since passed away. Sarah Sue, I don't know where she is now. Love to find her. Sig Sakowitz, he passed away. Joey Bishop, Tippi Hedren, she was starred in The Birds, and this was Mel Bishop. He was a friend of Joey Bishop's, and this is Jennie with the accordion. But we have a very interesting story to tell about this because we were so close with Joey Bishop in Vietnam. Some years later, when we were 28 years old, we were performing at the Comedy Store, and we went to Las Vegas, Jennie and I. And when we were in Las Vegas, we saw that Joey Bishop was performing at the Riviera. So we sent a note backstage, and we said, "Remember us, we're the twins that you performed with in Vietnam with the USO." He said, he called us back there. He said, "Meet me tomorrow at my where I'm staying. They give me a house to stay at here." So we met him the next day, and we were talking with him, and then he said, "Excuse me," and he went over and he greeted a comedian, someone we knew from the Comedy Store, and he interviewed the comedian, and the comedian left. And Jennie and I said, "Well, excuse me, but we're curious, what were you doing with this comedian?" His name was Alan Bursky. And he said, well, I am going to hire a comedian to write for me for The Tonight Show. 4 times a year, I substitute host for Johnny Carson. So I'm going to hire this guy. And we said, well, Alan is very good, but there's a terrific comedian. He just came out from Indianapolis. His name is David Letterman. And he's making $25 a night introducing people. And Joey said, well, tell you what, tell this David Letterman guy to come over to where I'm staying when I'm in LA. I'll be there in a week. So we told David, hey, guess what? We set up for you to have an interview with Joey Bishop to write for him on The Tonight Show. And he was very excited. So, but a week later, David came over and he said, I got the job. I'm so excited. Terrie and Jennie, thank you so much. If there's anything I can do ever to help you, please let me know, because this looks great on my resume. Well, since that time, Jennie and I asked David for 5 favors. One, Jennie knew a young man who was just starting out. He had one country hit called If Tomorrow Never Comes, and his name was Garth Brooks. And Jennie called David Letterman, and said, could you please put him on your show? And David said, well, I don't like country music, and if I'm going to have a country performer, I'm going to have someone famous like Kenny Rogers. But that was actually the second favor. The first favor we asked him was Jennie and I were performing, and we had our own show in Indianapolis called the Country Sisters Show. And we knew that David was from Indianapolis, so we called him in LA, and we said, David, would you please be on our show? We'll take a film crew and film you doing your comedy. And by then, he was about to host The Tonight Show for the first time. Because when he was writing for Joey Bishop, he got to know all of the producers, and they got to know him, and one thing led to another, and that was really the beginning of his career on The Tonight Show. So David Letterman said, well, he said, I'm about to host The Tonight Show, so I really don't want to take a chance with my career right now and do something on your show. And then we said, well, how about if we just film you saying, hello, Indiana? And he said, talk to my agent. So that was a no. The third request we had from him was Jennie was doing a Rebuild LA campaign, and she wanted to put some of the people, these were people who were unfortunate people who were turning their lives around by selling shoes on the street. And Jennie, they were gang members actually, and then Jennie tried to get him to help promote what they were doing to change their lives. He said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. The fourth favor that I asked is I was married at the time, and I said, my husband wrote a book called The Lawyer Book, and Ralph Nader wrote the introduction. Could he please be on your show? And his answer was no. And the 5th time we asked him for a favor, Jennie and I were actually in New York to be on the Geraldo show. And we called and asked, can we have tickets to be in your audience? And he said no. So much for David Letterman.
So you